Good morning. Happy Tuesday. You are looking live from Tampa this morning as they brace for Hurricane Ian to come their way. Time is now 6:30 on this September 27th. I'm Caitlin Heck.
And I'm Juanya Reese. Some of those people living in Tampa are under mandatory evacuations right now as Hurricane Ian just comes barreling their way.
I actually had family come up here, staying with us now from Tampa just to get away from the storm. And of course, Alex, as it continues to move toward Florida, I'm sure we'll see more people doing the same.
Yes, and we'll probably see more evacuation orders come out through the day today down along Florida. And remember, people evacuate from water, not necessarily from wind. And with the storm surge threat with this storm, that is certainly going to pose a risk as we head into the next few days. Winds of 125 miles an hour this morning, continuing to move towards the north. The plan is for it to make landfall somewhere near Tampa now as a Category 3 major hurricane early Thursday morning before notice it gets that bend back towards the north and could potentially come our way here in central Georgia before continuing to move towards the north into the Carolinas. So a lot to watch with this storm, and notice how the cone fans out. I'll go through some of the details on this with the models coming up here in a few minutes. But first, there's that live look at Tampa. We've got 52 in Macon, 53 in Warner Robins, 46 now in Eastman. I still think that sensor's on the cool side, 57 there in Soperton, and 51 down in McRae. Elsewhere, we've got no clouds, but if you look down towards the south, notice we begin to get this arcing feature right there. That is the front of what is going to be, or what is Hurricane Ian and what is going to be Ian moving into central Georgia. So the clouds you see today across central Georgia tied directly to the hurricane. Elsewhere, it's a cool morning across the southeast, 47 in Nashville, 49 there in Columbus, Mississippi, and 69 degrees in Pensacola, Florida this morning. Here in central Georgia today, look for a high of about 79. Not a great day to be burning anything outside. We do have high fire danger because of those winds out of the north, 5 to 10 gusts to 20 miles an hour. That combined with the dry air we have in place thanks to that front that came on through. Not a great day to be burning anything. We've got much more coming up on Ian and a lot of uncertainty. The details on that just a few minutes away. And don't forget to download the 13WMAZ app on the Apple App Store or on Google Play. You can track Hurricane Ian right along with us. Just look for the Hurricane Center tab there in the app and get the latest information that Ben, Taylor, Jordan, myself, we're all looking at all hours of the day.
Well, thank you, Alex. Right now, as you can imagine, a lot of us, we are keeping a close eye on the forecast and also Hurricane Ian's path. But somebody who's paying especially close attention, that's our farmers here in central Georgia.
That's right. Some farmers say they're still hurting from Hurricane Michael. Our morning reporter TJ Anthony introduces us to a few farmers impacted by that 2018 storm and what another hurricane could mean for them. Good morning, TJ.
Good morning. That's right, Caitlin and Juanya. Central Georgia farmers are watching the tropics closely. Many say they're still hurting from Hurricane Michael in 2018. Taylor Sills, the director of the Georgia Cotton Commission, says Hurricane Michael ruined 1 million bales of cotton, costing farmers $300 million in all. Matt Oliver owns Ideal Farms in Oglethorpe. He says he's about to harvest 950,000 pounds of cotton this year, a medium-sized crop. He says Michael destroyed most of his crop 4 years ago, and it cannot happen again.
There are a number of farmers, including us, that debt from 2018 has been a big burden on, and it still continues to be. A number of farmers, if this happened to them one more time, it would be game over, and probably no reset.
Now, Oliver says farmers are usually optimistic to a fault, but right now, he says, Caitlin and Juanya, all they can do is pray that this storm will not be as bad as 2018.
Well, thank you so much, TJ, for that informative story. You know, Alex did mention a little bit earlier on in the show that this storm is not going to be as bad as Hurricane Michael.
Right, which we are very thankful for. But of course, you get those high winds, a lot of rains, and a crop that's not quite ready. It could spell, some bad things for those farmers.
Exactly right. Matt also says that they're in a better place now, but a repeat would really hurt them.
Another challenge they've been facing, farmers say cotton was twice as expensive to grow this year. So we're definitely keeping them in our thoughts as we get ready for the storm.
Right now, the Georgia National Fairgrounds says they can provide shelter for your horses if you need it. They have room for up to 250 horses. Now,
you will need to reserve a stall, and it's on a first-come, first-served basis. So to do that, you can call the number on your screen, 478-988-6559. Again, 478-988-6559. You will need appropriate paperwork and proof of a negative Coggins test for your animal. If you need more details, visit the Georgia National Fairgrounds Facebook page.
Well, meanwhile, Georgia Power says they're preparing for Hurricane Ian as well.
Alex has been showing us that Ian should hit by the end of the week, so now it's time just to be ready. Agencies like Georgia Power are watching the path of the storm and doing all they can to plan ahead. They're making sure they have trucks and equipment ready to roll, as well as personnel on hand to respond quickly once the storm does hit. Georgia Power says now is the time to get your family emergency kit ready, which means plenty of water and non-perishable food for each member of your family for up to 3 days.
Also, you want to be sure to pack a first aid kit and any medicine you need. Be sure to have flashlights with fresh batteries and a battery operated radio.
You also want to make sure all your devices and battery backups are fully charged in case you do lose power. So start getting into the habit of charging your devices regularly just to be prepared.
And we've been seeing this since yesterday. High school football sports already starting to feel the impacts from the storm as well.
Now, many schools decided just to make the call to move up those football games for the week. Central versus Northeast moving to Thursday now at 5:30 at Henderson Stadium in Macon. Rutland and Southwest will now play Thursday at 7 at the Ed DeForest Sports Complex in Macon. And Baldwin and Howard will play Thursday at 7 at Macon's Thompson Stadium. For the full list of the rescheduled games, you can find this story on 13WMAZ.com. Well, 6:35, we do have some breaking news for you. The Macon Fire Department's clearing the scene of a deadly fire. Deputy Coroner Lonnie Miley tells us the call came out just after 4 this morning for a fire on the 800 block of L Street near downtown Macon.
Firefighters found a woman inside. Miley says that he did pronounce that woman dead at about 5 a.m. this morning. He says they're still working to locate their family, so they're not going to be releasing her name just yet. This is coming in as breaking news. We will continue to keep you updated on air and online as we learn more.
We have an update this morning on the escaped state prison inmate on a work detail in Monroe County. The U.S. Marshals found him in Muskogee County, Alabama. The Georgia Department of Corrections says Robert Jenkins escaped while on city work detail by stealing a City of Forsyth truck. They also recovered that truck in Alabama. This morning, the Bibb Sheriff's Office is investigating a deadly crash on Emory Highway in Macon. They say it happened around 9 last night. A Chevy Cruze traveling east attempted to make a left turn onto Fort Hill Street. It collided with a Pontiac G8 traveling west. Both drivers went to the hospital. The Chevy driver later died. The other driver is expected to be okay. And a Macon man is dead after being shot in his car back in May. Coroner Leon Jones says 67-year-old Philip Wines died at a hospital Saturday from complications after that shooting. Jones says someone shot Wines May 19th on Bailey Avenue as he drove home from work. The bullet hit him in the leg. He is now Macon Bibb's 53rd homicide victim of the year. The county set a record last year with 55.
It's 6:37. Let's get a check of your state news this morning. If you were due one of those $350 state assistance checks but had trouble getting it, the state says problems with the system are, quote, largely resolved now. Some people reported problems spending the money after it was sent out in the form of a virtual card connected to Apple Pay. They found some major stores like Walmart and Sam's Club didn't accept Apple Pay, and others don't accept digital payments of any kind. The cash on the card could not be transferred to other payment apps or converted into cash. The State Department of Human Services says they worked with MasterCard to fix those issues. They also say you need to remain aware there are restrictions on the use of the card. Well, Atlanta's mayor is blocking any changes to Atlanta Medical Center with a new executive order. He says he wants the campus to continue to serve as a healthcare center. So what will happen when AMC closes down in November 1st is still a big question. But his latest order tells the city to block any new applications for rezoning or permits that could change the campus in Old Fourth Ward. The order expires on Monday, and that's when City Council could decide to pass its own order extending the moratorium. Well, today, one of the nation's top health officials is in Atlanta to discuss mental health issues and substance abuse problems plaguing millions of Americans. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Deputy Secretary Andrea Palm will make stops at Grady Memorial and the DeKalb Community Service Board. She will be joined by local leaders, including Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens. The visit focuses on ways to strengthen mental health and overdose prevention strategies.
Well, in response to a shortage of certified nurse aides in Georgia, a woman named Patricia Duncan, a nurse of 30 years, decided to open up her own facility called Wonderland International Training School. She opened it about a month ago to address the need of caregivers.
Prior to the pandemic, there was a huge shortage, but after the pandemic, it's just unbelievable. We're critical now.
Now, the CNA training program will be hybrid, 3 weeks of online instruction and 2 weeks of clinical training at the school. Students will spend 24 hours with a contracted facility to perform their clinical exams. And students are not just limited to working at a nursing home. When they pass, Duncan says they can work at a hospital or an assisted living community. Talina Glover will serve as the CPR instructor for the school. She's worked as a CNA for close to 30 years.
It's just the care that you have for other people. If you can care for someone and you know somebody needs that care, that's the best place you can be in, because you're not only helping yourself, you're helping others.
Duncan says once her CNA program starts off, she hopes to get some fresh blood into the community working as caregivers to fill that need. They still need to get their CNA license approved and hope to have that by December. They can start offering classes once that happens.
Today, Macon Pride Mini Film Festival is playing several feature films. They say they are featuring films of different lengths and diverse backgrounds. So that's going to be going on from 5 to 9 this evening, and the tickets are just going to run you about $5 for you to get through the door. The time is now 6:40 a.m. here on your Tuesday morning. Taking a live look right there, Caitlin of Tampa. And I saw on Twitter, Alex, that they're going to be closing that airport this afternoon.
Which makes sense as they're trying to just get people out of there and not staying.
And to get the planes out of there.
Right.
Because they don't want the planes there during the hurricane. Yeah, this is St. Pete Clearwater International. So we're looking out towards the ocean here. So this will be an interesting camera to watch. The coastline's not directly right there, but about 2 to 3 miles away. This will be an interesting camera to watch as we head into the next few days. In fact, I believe that would be a lighthouse out there with that light spinning around. I don't know that for sure, but if you happen to know, let me know. Here's a look at the temperatures across our area this morning. 50s and 60s, 61 in Thomaston, 51 in Gordon, 52 in Macon, 54 in Warner Robins. I don't think that 46 is right there in Eastman. And we've got 55 down in Rochelle this morning. The air much drier. We had that cold front come through yesterday. Much nicer conditions here across central Georgia. All of that is going to change by the time we get to the end of the week. Thanks to this, Hurricane Ian, winds of 125 miles an hour, made landfall at about 4:30 this morning there on the Cuban coast. The eye beginning to close in just a little bit as it interacts with the land here, but as it reemerges over the Gulf of Mexico, expecting it to strengthen once again up to Category 4 status here over the next little bit. Hurricane warnings in effect for the western part of Cuba, also in parts of Florida now. From the Tampa area, obviously Clearwater, St. Pete, where we were just looking live, down along the coast through Sarasota, down into Fort Myers, and eventually over towards the Marco Island area. Tropical storm warnings in effect elsewhere, Orlando, Melbourne, that would include Cape Canaveral down the coast, down 95, and also into southwest Florida. Then up towards the north now, a tropical storm watch. This is going to be along the Gulf Coast there, on over into the Jacksonville area, Daytona, Volusia County included in this, and now far southeastern Georgia, coastal Glenn County and coastal Camden County in a tropical storm watch. Also a storm surge watch. So if you have any family and friends down there, make sure they know that's going on. The cone is for the track is showing a major hurricane making landfall early Thursday morning. This would be about 2 a.m. or so in the Tampa area before continuing to move towards the north. Notice it gets that northward turn to it, potentially tracking somewhere between Macon and Savannah for the center. But the reality is the center of the storm can be anywhere right along this white line that extends from the Alabama state line over there to over in the Atlantic Ocean just south of Charleston. So how are the models shaping up on this? These are our major global models. These are the different versions of the models that you see every day here on 13 WMAZ. This yellow line right here, that's the European model. We've got 2 runs of the GFS in here, that brown line and the blue line. And you can see, regardless of where the storm goes, all the models, except for this pink line right here, is taking the center of the storm closer to central Georgia. So even though the cone, right, is this line right here, notice the cluster is right over central Georgia, quite literally from the far eastern side of our area to the far western side of our area. So the center of the storm and where it tracks has major ramifications of the impacts we end up seeing. The different runs of the GFS here, you can see them spread out, generally speaking, from central Alabama over to about the Carolinas, so still not a great handle that far out. The European, something similar. It's got a pretty good idea, at least over the short term, but then notice over the long term, the potential spot for the center of the storm widens out from the Myrtle Beach area over to, say, central Alabama once again. But still, the general consensus is right through central Georgia. So what you need to know this morning is that Ian is now a major hurricane crossing into the Gulf of Mexico. The recent model trends have shifted it east over the Florida Peninsula. For us, that means maybe not as much of an impact because the winds will have some time to die down. But what that also means is the wind field, the amount of area that sees the tropical storm force winds, will grow significantly because this is a major hurricane weakening as opposed to just a tropical storm coming ashore. Rain and wind, still a high possibility in central Georgia as we get into about Friday and Saturday. Be sure to follow along on social media. You can look me up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at AForbesWX. I'll be posting updates through the morning and throughout the day. Meanwhile, back here in central Georgia, 50s into the 70s this afternoon. I'm forecasting a high temperature of about 79 degrees, 76 for Wednesday. How about 73 for Thursday? And then watching Ian into the weekend. Rain looking likely there on Friday and Saturday. The forecast written in pencil, these rain chances could go up or down depending on the track of the storm. We're watching it closely here in the Weather Center.